So here I am in South Africa, finally, after a very long journey, and unfortunately it's actually started to rain, which doesn't look that good, but I am in a t-shirt. But anyway, this morning I finally managed to get out to a gun club and I shot some handguns, which you'll see in a moment. I shot a Beretta 92 and a Glock 19 and a Browning HiPower, and I was actually surprised at the differences, but you'll see that in a moment. Either way, what follows is what happened. Okay.
Yeah. The trigger.
So I started with the Beretta 92, and this gun is, iconic. It's the gun from the Lethal Weapon films. It's the gun from the American military that they used up until very recently. It's got 15+1 capacity. It's got double action and single action, so you can decock it with one in the chamber, and then you've got a long, heavy trigger pull for the first shot. And in subsequent shots, it recocks the hammer. And I would say right now, and I'm not somebody who's a seasoned handgun shooter. Obviously, this is my first time with handguns, but I thought it was rubbish. It was terrible to shoot. It was not very accurate at all. The trigger was terrible, and it didn't feel particularly ergonomic. It didn't fit in the hand very well. It was overly heavy. It just really wasn't that great. I mean, it was great because it was a handgun, and I haven't shot one before, but yeah, I don't overly rate it. My groups were okay, but to be honest, I don't understand what all the fuss is. I don't understand why people go on about this firearm. It's not that great. And the instructor, the guy I was shooting with, kind of agreed, really. He said this, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. So there we are. Next up, the Browning HiPower. Now this is the opposite. Now this is a funny one because, I mean, this is a gun that people do talk about, and you'll see it on sort of Suchi's videos and sort of people like that on YouTube, and they'll say about all the mods they're doing and all the rest of it. But it's not a gun that's particularly, people don't bang on about it, but it fits in the hand really well. It's very thin, a bit like a 1911. So I can imagine if you were having to fit this in your pocket, it would be, very good. It's a sort of intermediate size between sort of compact and full size. And yes, it's metal, and yes, it only holds 13+1 rather than 15+1 that you get in all these super Glock type pistols. But I tell you what, this pistol was amazing. It got a really thin front sight post and a very narrow groove in the rear sight, and it was a pleasure to shoot. And it took me a minute or two to get grips with it, but after a while I was shooting, well, I guess 1 MOA at 10 yards and later on at 15 yards. No problem at all. It was a dream to shoot. It was like shooting a nice bolt action rifle. It really was. It was a pleasure to shoot. It really was.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's fine.
And here we come with the Glock 19. Now, originally when I went to this shop, I was just like, yeah, just give us a Glock. I'll just shoot that. And I didn't particularly, have an interest in shooting lots of different guns. I just wanted to have a bit of a go, really. And I would have been happy if they just let me have a go with a Glock. And what surprised me, I mean, you can see here I've got the sort of 33 round magazine that you can get from the Glock 18. And of course, everybody talks about Glocks, don't they, about how amazing they are and so on. And I'm sure they are in terms of, their AK-47 style quality of being super reliable and all the rest of it. But, I found it had a terrible trigger. I found it was really bulky and overly heavy, even though it's a polymer, compared to the Browning HiPower, which is all metal. And for those 2 extra shots, I just thought it was rubbish. I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? I went into this thinking that I was going to love the Beretta 92 because I really wanted to shoot that. I thought the Glock would be amazing because I really wanted to shoot that, and I really wasn't interested in the Browning HiPower. But I tell you what, out of the 3, the HiPower was by far the best. Comparing the Glock 19 to the Browning HiPower, was like shooting a Ruger 1022 in comparison to my Browning T-Bolt. I mean, there was just no comparison. It was like an entire league of difference. So now I'm surprised. I don't understand the fuss. But there we are. Either way, I had a great day, and it was my first time shooting handguns, and there'll be more of this to come. So, keep watching.
Old school weapons are much better.
This last